So I guess it's time to talk about whether this is really the world that we wanted or what the progressives wanted. Because I'm kind of sick of the term equality and I'm not in favor of it. I'm just not in favor of whatever it is they mean by equality or inclusivity or any of these other progressive buzzwords where it's like, oh, we need to have everyone included in all things at all times in exactly the same way. It's like, no, 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 I'm totally against this. This is absolutely inhuman. And it just goes against any concept of freedom that I think is valuable or meaningful. But before we start, go over to lotus.com, sign up because that's how you can support us. That's the way we pay for everything. But also to get access to amazing bits of content like this, right? This was an article, a DeepThink written by Connor Tomlinson called Englishmen for Exclusivity Against Equality. Now it's got an audio track for silver members, so you don't have to read the whole thing yourself if you don't want to. But honestly, go and take a listen to this. It is important that we have inequality and exclusivity. All good things are derived from those principles. And if we don't have those things, then what we have is the lowest common denominator for everybody. This is why Soviet housing was terrible. And this is why the housing that was built in the early 20th century isn't terrible. This is why the world in our side of the world, in the capitalist world, is good and the communist world sucks. But anyway, and it does.
No. I agree completely. Inequality is just a fact. It's just a fact of reality. Nobody, Thomas Sowell points out, nobody's equal to themselves on different days.
Exactly.
And the attempt to try and create equality, whatever nebulous definition that you have for that, because it can be different in everybody's head what it actually means, will only lead to social engineering. And when the social engineering doesn't work, they'll go, oh, it's because of this, and they'll just keep social engineering us into oblivion.
Moreover, some social engineering is downright immoral. And
Absolutely.
let's take the example of, say, Pride Month. Right? I don't like what Pride Month is doing in a lot of ways. Now, I don't care about gay people at all, actually. I spend 0% of my day thinking about gay people. But then every corporation ever is like, boom, you need to talk about gay people today. It's like, oh, do I? Do I actually? Like, I don't think I actually do, but now I have to. So it's like, right, okay, what are we talking about? Oh, we're talking about drag queen events for children. Well, I guess that's inclusive, isn't it? That's one of those things. So, well, you would have a person read a book to children. Yeah, but why not have a man in drag read a book about penises to children? Like, why? That's inclusive. It's like, yeah, it's also immoral, isn't it? It's also gross.
You can't convince me that they don't get off on it.
Yeah.
You absolutely can't.
I refuse to believe this isn't a fetish.
Yeah, the whole thing, I mean, it's obviously over-sexualizing of the female form done by men pretending to be, dressing like women. And you can't convince me that the men dressing like women, they're not getting off on it. Obviously they are.
But also, who is this for? Is this for the children? Or is it for, if you can scroll down so we can see the picture, right? Is this for the children or is it for the person wearing the wig and the makeup and the dress? So they can feel special.
Generally speaking, I don't think kids care who reads the stories to them.
The children aren't like, Daddy, I really want to watch a man in a dress with ridiculous makeup read me stories about a gender-confused unicorn. Like, no child has ever made a demand like that, right? It's all about the adults trying to do it for themselves and taking advantage of the kids.
You mean your kids have never come up and asked that question? Shocking.
They've burst into tears seeing stuff like this, but they've never asked for it. Anyway, let's go to the next one. So let's talk about Pizza Hut's drag queens, shall we? So why? Right.
Posobiec's more and more right by the day. Look at how far we've fallen.
Yeah, exactly. Return to tradition. But so this is Pizza Hut, which is facing criticism after recommending a book about a child drag queen in its reading program for children. Why are you doing this? Is this the future that was promised? Is it? Oh, we're going to have such a progressive and impressive future. It's like, really? Child drag queens in Pizza Hut.
Just to point out again, there's no way you can convince me drag queens aren't getting off on it. So therefore, what is the purpose of putting a child in a drag outfit?
That's a great question. I don't have an answer for, unfortunately. But anyway, this was something that was, needless to say, got a bit of a backlash from, parents who are like, this seems a bit weird and adult. Anyway, let's keep going, right? This is drag queen story time at just some, small town library, right? But look at the way that this is being framed, right? It helps kids explore diversity and different personalities. So as if kids aren't confused enough just by being kids and not really understanding the world around them, right? But they say a big part of what the library is encouraging is diversity and inclusion and supporting that in an open way. The cool thing about drag is that it's a way for young people to see how they can explore and try on different personalities. It's like, look, I think they might have enough problems working out who they personally are rather than trying to, I'll be 5 or 6 different people, right? Drag provides an opportunity for all ages to reconsider the masks we are all forced to wear daily. Really? You think like a 6-year-old's like, Daddy, I really need to reconsider the mask I'm forced to wear daily. Kids don't have a mask. They live like authentic first-person selves. There's no second-hand sort of second-order self-criticism in a child's mind. They're just like, right, I'm going to be an Indian today. I'm going to be a soldier today.
They're ridiculously earnest.
Like, exactly. Everything they do is in earnest, right? They don't think this way, and this is for the adults around them doing it to them.
And this also just sounds like some kind of weird derivation of the early 2000s, like edgy, we're all wearing masks every day.
Oh, yeah, it's pathetic. But I love this direct quote. Kids learn through play, so it's a good opportunity to meet them on that level. So, yeah, but I don't want you educating my children or any children, frankly. I don't think you're educating them in their own interest, right? And this is most exemplified. And again, is this the world you wanted? In the Drag Kids to Pride event. Isn't that just a lovely, lovely child-friendly drag show name?
That name the next one, John. Gives away intentions a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's called Drag Kids to Pride, right? If you scroll down, you should see some pictures in this. Go down. There's pictures in it of, there we go, right? Child-friendly drag show at a gay bar in Dallas, Texas, with the signs on the walls, it's not going to lick itself, and I licked it, so it's mine. That's child-friendly.
I mean, so you're literally just telling kids, if it's yours, lick it.
Also, I mean, it's not going to lick itself is an open invitation to a sexual act. This is not child-friendly, in my opinion. As a father, this is disgusting, and I mean, it's for adults only. That's just the only way I could possibly describe it without becoming incredibly conservative about it.
I mean, the thing is, it's like 20 years ago, it's adults only. Obviously, nobody would have had any contentions with that statement. And now we're in this. This is how far it's come.
Yeah, it's disgusting. But Texas, the Republican state, is doing this. Don't know why that's allowed. But so there are a bunch of videos of this going around, which are just disgusting.
Horrifying.
Yeah. Kids giving drag queens money in a gay bar in front of a sign saying it's not going to lick itself. I mean, why? Did the kids ask for this? Because normally, I mean, look how young these kids are, like 6, 7.
This is not appropriate.
Normally, they want to play like Roblox or something. Again, is this about the kids or is this about the drag people doing it? And anyway, so there have been a bunch of clips, and I just thought we'd have a look at the kind of way that so there's a conservative comedian called Alex Stein, and he goes up and just starts confronting them outside, going, "Look, do you think this is appropriate for kids? This is quite disgusting." And it's very interesting where their minds are. Listen to the criticisms and insults they level at him. Let's play it.
You should be ashamed of yourself. You're a little kid at a gay bar. You should be ashamed. You should be ashamed of yourself.
You watch
You should be ashamed of yourself and your little children.
Look at this.
You're ashamed of yourself. You guys are letting little kids.
But you leave the kid alone.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, this is the whole thing that the AA has pointed out with the Freudian subversion, where now, if you've got any criticism of any outlandish lifestyle, you can just say, oh, you're sexually repressed. You only disagree with this because you're gay, but you just can't accept it.
But notice how this is, in their minds, seems to be only framed in terms of sexualization.
That's the only way these people are thinking.
They're at a gay bar. They're doing drag performances in front of a sexually suggestive sign, and when confronted on it, you watch gay porn. So, well, let's say he did. That still doesn't make it appropriate for children.
No, absolutely not.
But it's the only way that they can attack him is on the merits of being a sexual being, which 6-year-old children aren't and shouldn't be treated as. Again, shouldn't have to say that, but this is the world that they've created. But let's watch the next one, because again, he addresses a couple more, and they just can't get away fast enough. It's just like,
For little children? Do you like dancing for little children? You don't think that's disgusting? Dancing around for little children? Don't you think that's disgusting?
Hey, you don't think that's, get the fuck away.
Hey, well, you can't just touch me. You don't think that's disgusting?
You touch me.
You don't
Your
think
mom's
that's
a
disgusting?
bitch. Go on.
You don't think that's disgusting? Dancing for little children. You should be ashamed of yourself dancing for little children. You should be ashamed of yourself.
I fuck him. Is he a child? No.
You guys dance with little children. You should be ashamed of yourselves. You're disgusting. Think about what you just did.
Mom's a whore.
Okay, that's fine, but you dance naked in front of little children. You did.
The reason that they're saying they look like pedophiles is because all of this is entirely sexualized.
I mean, obviously.
Your mum's a whore. Okay, but that's a sexual activity. Like, you can't think of yourselves in any way other than being sexual beings when you're doing these drag shows. That's why the conservatives are like, oh my God, this looks like it's you're noncing these kids.
Yeah, this looks like grooming
Yes.
to me.
And anyway, let's carry on. There are school drag shows because why aren't there? Why not? Like this Ankeny High School brought drag queens in to perform for the students during school. So are you going to tell me there's nothing sexual about this performance? There's not sexual display? Then why are you wearing that costume? I mean, look at it. Like, sorry, how is this in any way appropriate for children? It's unbelievable. The drag queens also spoke to the students about gender identity and expression. Oh God, I can't wait to hear what this person has to say about gender identity and expression. Children. Apparently, one photo shows a student handing cash to the drag queen as well.
I have seen a particular photo going around of a bunch of children putting dollars and other money in the pants of a drag queen.
Yeah.
Completely neutral activity. You didn't do it when you were a kid?
This is just for the children, right? There's more info on this. We can go to the next one. So the students were talked to specifically about gender identity and expression. And they say, specifically to me, I thought much more about drag before I thought about how gender identity was really interwoven with the art form. One of the drag queens told the students, see, it's about them. It's not what's good for the students. It's about them. They're doing this for their own self-gratification.
Well, it's also about the ideology.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, it's all tied in. But it's all about the performer and not the people being performed to, because, of course, the people being performed to don't have a choice. What are they going to do, walk out the school?
Well, that's the thing. If you express, as should be your right, your discomfort and your distaste with this, all of a sudden you're the bigot.
Yeah.
You're the one who's being oppressive. You're the one, despite the fact that you're forced to sit there and endure this against your will.
But that's the thing. They're children. They don't have a choice in this. And it's just terrible. Anyway, they say, they carry on, right? They say, from there, I started to think, who am I? And I started to think, what is gender? And I realized no matter what pronouns you use, you are who you are. I could say tomorrow that I wanted to be something inaudible that couldn't be heard on the clip. And no matter what everyone else says to me, I know that on the inside, I am who I am. So how is this helping the children? This seems like public therapy for a deranged person.
Yeah, also on the basis of, no matter what anyone else says to me, I know on the inside I am who I am. Okay, then why do you need to, enforce with authority your desired pronouns?
Yes.
If it's just that you are who you are, then why do you need everybody else to submit to that vision of
Exactly. You? This is a massive cope. Anyway, it's disgusting. But anyway, the school got some angry messages from parents.
What a shock.
Shockingly, about this. And the superintendent of the school was like, well, hang on a second. I didn't sign off on this. This was put on as part of the Gay Straight Alliance Club in their end of year meeting. And the performers were from the Central Iowa Youth Pride Pageant and did a drag performance. The Gay Straight Alliance Club is an approved club, but the performance wasn't approved, and apparently they're currently under investigation. So yeah, you're going to investigate and find they did nothing wrong.
I have never heard anything good coming from these Gay Straight Alliance clubs. They just sound like indoctrination centers.
Again, why do you need it in the school? Just out of interest. Aren't you meant to be teaching children how to read and write? Maybe some science.
Because
history,
otherwise,
geography.
how will the gays and straights get along with each other?
Exactly. How was anyone gay before we were publicly indoctrinating them into it in schools? Anyway, moving on, right? So that's just one aspect of the future that is just gross and I hate. The next one is this. And if we can just scroll down and just see this picture, I think this picture is just the most emblematic of the total confusion in which we find ourselves as a civilization in the current era, right? This is amazing. So, on the left, we have Emily Bridges and Lily Chant, two biological males who identify as transgender. and they won first and second place slots at the London's Thunder Crit cycling event on Thursday. And so they thought they'd have a kiss when they're standing on the first and second podium in the women's event. Next to them is a woman in third place with her child, taking care of her child.
I've never seen a greater image that sums up the patriarchy as feminists envisioned it 30 years ago.
Yeah. Is this what feminism was arguing for, is it? Women to be relegated to third place while two men who think they're women...
Probably saying they're lesbians.
Claiming to be two male-bodied lesbians have a kiss while the biologically female woman looks after a child in third place. Like, come on, this is clown world.
I do respect that she's obviously making a statement by bringing her daughter up on there with her.
Know.
I mean, I that's how it comes across to me. She's like, well, here I am, an actual woman with my actual baby, because these two can't do that.
Well, that's the point, isn't it? This is such an inversion of values as well. It's like, feminism's like, oh, we want women's liberation. It's like, okay, but look what you've done with the men in the meantime. Like, the men have also been set free, and they're busy, like, doing this and relegating women to be something totally ignored. And this is the argument the TERFs are making. It's like, well, look, intersectionality is a men's rights movement. And it's like, well, kind of.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, you kind of got to look at things from incentives, right? And when you have a society that demonizes masculinity to the extent that it does nowadays and says that men, on the base of it, are just all rapists in waiting.
And they're only worthy when they're acting as women.
Yeah. Maybe some of these men who are a little bit less scrupulous than the rest of us are going to go, I want a bit of that women's liberation as well.
I mean, why? What was stopping them? And the answer is, of course, nothing. And this is not novel at all. UPenn swimmer Leah Thomas won swimming competitions by unprecedented margins while openly laying out ambitions toward the Olympics. Do you remember seeing the photo of her diving next to all the other female athletes? The females are going in like this, and the biological male is going in like this.
Yes.
In the dive.
Like, starting off just with a massive advantage.
Yeah. And
obvious, clear as day.
Yeah. And then last year you had Laurel Hubbard, who was named powerlifter, who was named Sportswoman of the Year, because women aren't capable of powerlifting like people who are born male.
Did Laurel beat Zuby's deadlift?
I'll have to check, actually.
I mean,
I don't know. but this is the future we're in. Was this what the Star Trek generation were promising us? Was it? It's like, oh, in the future everything's going to be like Star Trek. It's like, no, it's not. In the future everything's going to be debauched. Everything's going to be dirty, and women are going to be a massively lower tier consideration.
I mean, those people didn't even predict what Star Trek was going to be like in the current year.
No, they didn't. That's a great point, actually.
Like, Star Trek now is more like this.
Yeah,
it's awful.
Yeah. Anyway, so moving on, just as a quick thing to end this one up. This is the first woman to lead a military service. It's like, no, but
is it?
I think that is actually a biological woman.
Oh my god! Right? Apologies.
It's just it's a terrible angle on the photo. I actually looked into it.
I'm just conditioned to assume if it's a woman in a high-ranking position, it's actually a man. That's just what I'm conditioned now.
But the thing is, I'm actually not sure. I couldn't find anything about Linda Fagan to tell me either way.
Oh, no.
And from the picture, it's not the most feminine looking of ladies, right? So if Linda Fagan, if you are biologically female, I'm really sorry that we're not sure. But the thing is, all of this is being put up in the air, and I don't think it's our fault that we can't tell what you are, right? And the thing is, this comes down to the question, okay, you might claim to be a woman as well, but how do you know? Could you please define woman for me? Because this is, if we go to the next one.
You know, I was watching Austin Powers over the weekend. You know that scene where he punches Exposition's mum in the face? He's like, that's a man. He was just ahead of the curve.
He was very ahead of the curve. Although he was misgendering, which is
that's true. That's true.
I watched Matt Walsh's documentary, What Is a Woman, the other day. I really enjoyed it, and I can see why the audience really enjoyed it, and I can see why none of the critics, one review, we're not even
they don't want to touch it.
Exactly. Why? Because they can't answer the question. And they've deliberately undermined the very concept of what it is to be a woman. And so this general liquidization of categories is where we're coming to in the modern era. Is this what you wanted when you were a progressive back in the 1980s and 1990s and early 2000s? Is this where you thought we were going? Because this is where we've ended up. And that's not even to talk about, like, you know, the next one, which is just instructing white kids to check their privileges in kindergartens. I'm not even talking about, like, you know, the disgusting racialization that progressives have brought in as well. You know, I'm not talking about any of that. Just the rest of it. Was that where you thought you were going? because that's where we are.
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as the Contemplation series, this one on why sex is binary. And if you want to follow what else Josh is putting out, you can follow him on Getter at @Josh_firm on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.